March 2020 meeting of the Norfolk County Commissioners into session. On Thursday, March 12, 2020, Governor Charles Baker issued an order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. That order was effective immediately until it is rescinded or the state of emergency is terminated. Further, on February 12, 2022, by action of the legislature, that order was extended to July 15th, 2020. 2022, I apologize. If you rise and join me in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. I have a sad duty to perform, and I think we should do it at the outset of our meeting. I'm looking at a communication from the Dedham Police Department. And yesterday, the Dedham Police announced that Michael J. Weir, former chief of the Dedham Police, had passed away suddenly in Weymouth at his home or in Weymouth. And this is a particular sad day for us because we all knew Mike Weir, not only as his time as a Dedham policeman, 38 years. He, in fact, retired as chief in 2010. And for the last 6 or 8 years, we used to see him almost weekly because he would come in to see Chairman O'Brien, who was his uncle. So all of us got to know Mike, and Mike was a great guy. And recently in the fall, we saw him when we dedicated the stone across the street to his uncle, Chairman Fran O'Brien. So a moment of silence, please, for Mike Weir of the Dedham Police Department. Okay, thank you. I'm going to call the roll. Commissioner Stady.
I am present, sir.
Commissioner Collins. Present. And Commissioner Shea is present. We are live and on remotely, so we're hybrid today. Call to order, roll call. Number 3 is executive session. There is no need for an executive session today. It'll probably be on next week, but we have no need for today, so we'll pass that. Number 4, minutes of the open session meeting from March 16, 2022 for approval.
I would move approval of the minutes of the meeting of March 16th as presented.
Of the open session, second.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of the March 16th open session meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 5, minutes of the executive session. Of
I'll
March
move
16th.
approval with the stipulation they be released, perhaps when the subject matter is taken care of or at the appropriate time.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of the executive session held on March 16th and to hold them at this time. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is a vote. Number 6, public comment. Director,
We have no public comments.
no public comment. Okay, thank you. I'm going to move right along. Number 7 are appointments. We have none. Number 8 is old business. We have none. Number 9, personnel matters for consideration. We have none. Number 10, payroll and expense warrants for approval.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Collins.
I move the warrant 22-38 payroll county in the amount of $131,789.04.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a second.
Okay, I move warrant 22-38 payroll school, $365,313.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Third,
I move warrant 22-7 bond issue interest in the amount of $58,390.63.
Second.
motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
I move warrant 03-04-22 expense school in the amount of $492,260.71.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
I move warrant 22-09D, expense school, $54,910.03.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next.
Oh, and Dick, we had
Yes,
talked about
sir.
this earlier, but we ought to say it on the Zoom. So do we have your permission to stamp the documents with your signature?
Yes, sir. Permission granted.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We're going to move to, that completes the payroll and expense warrant. We're going to go move to number 11, bid openings at 1:30. We're not at 1:30, but we don't have one anyway. Thank you. Number 12, contract awards. We have none. Number 13, February trial balances.
Is there a discussion on this? Whoop. Did I loosen? What happened? Uh-oh.
Commissioner, we can hear you.
Okay. Did something happen on the trial balance? Mr. Chairman, are you there?
Mark, you need to unmute so everyone can hear.
I can't hear anything. Hello?
I'm looking into it, Commissioner. Hold on, please.
Okay, thank you. Here we go, John. I heard trial balance, gentlemen, then I lost you. Something happened.
How about now? We all set, Dick?
Yeah, I hear you now. I can hear you now.
All
Yes,
right.
sir. Yeah.
No, I just wondered if there's any questions. Dated 2/28/22, pretty standard.
Yeah.
I want to make note that we do carry the opera transactions on our trial balance, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
That's-
So I did have a quick question, if I could, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Any way we could get, I don't know, maybe this isn't within the purvey of this. It's great to get receipts and show where we are. I'd love to know if we could, at the same time, how does this compare, say, in our first quarter of last year? In terms of receipts, are we up, are we down? You know, that kind of a thing. Is that breakout available, or could we get that at the next meeting? Is that something, or is that beyond the scope of this particular document? Just asking.
So as mentioned, Commissioner Joe.
Go ahead.
Joe Dory is on the line. That he produces the trial balance, so I'd like him to address that question.
So perhaps it's not proper, and maybe I could ask Treasurer Bellotti, but I mean, I'd like to know the receipts, how we're going, how we're trending. We do get information from Registrar O'Donnell, but that's only in the registry. I'd love to know, as a county, how are we doing in the first quarter and so on, the year, calendar year, something like that.
You
know what I'm saying?
mean a year to date?
Hey, Joe.
Yes. Yeah, in terms of I'd love to see a comparison, to the previous year. How are we trending in terms of the prior year? If we're up, down, similar. I don't know if that's,
Well,
I'm
no,
articulating that.
Joe is here, and we're going to open it up and ask him. If not, we'll talk about it next week.
Okay, all right.
Joe, do you have any comment on that?
Yes, I don't think it's in the scope of the trial balance necessarily,
Okay.
but we could easily provide that to the commissioners whenever you wanted that. We could provide that as a separate document, as an attachment to the trial balance, if you would like.
Yes, yep. That's what I said, Joe, and through the chair,
Okay.
obviously through Chairman Shea. I don't want to go beyond the scope of what you're supposed to do, but for myself and maybe others, it'd be great, like on a quarterly basis. How are we looking? How do we look in terms of where we were last year and this year? Just would help a little bit, that would be great.
I agree. Could we try it, Joe, for the end of March?
Yep,
Separate
100%,
document.
we can do that.
Separate document. Okay.
Great.
Any other
Thank you.
questions?
That was all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Director Cronin, do you have any comments on the trial balances?
No, other than to note that our revenues appear to be very strong.
Okay,
Not as strong as 2021, but strong enough to show a healthy surplus at the end of FY '23.
good,
FY
good.
'22.
Okay.
Joe, did you want to add anything to the overall report of the trial balance?
No, I'm good.
What is the
Okay.
number, John, that you'd like us to vote? I know you want to vote on here. Is it 83,447? That number, sir?
I think in the past, Commissioner, we've just simply accepted the trial balance report
Okay,
as presented.
sure. I'll move that, Mr. Chairman, if you want.
Yeah,
Move the acceptance of the
safe
trial
one.
balance as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to accept the February trial balance as presented on this document dated 2/28/22. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is accepted. Thank you.
Great.
Number 14, fiscal 23 budget development, Director Cronin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the Commissioner's benefit, this evening at 6 o'clock, the Finance Committee will hold a meeting to discuss the FY '23 budget development. As you know, they've joined you for the last 3 weeks, as you've heard from the department heads in their budget submissions. This evening, we're going to have a kind of a conceptual conceptual conversation about where we stand overall with the requests against projected revenues. After speaking with the chairman earlier yesterday, his intention tonight is to simply have a greater understanding as to what lies ahead with respect to proposed balancing of the budget. Currently, based on what we see as total financial requests against available revenues, we have a deficiency. So this evening, we'll talk about that perspective and the path ahead to close that deficiency. And as the commissioners know, a week from today, you will open your annual budget hearing for the FY '23 budget. We'll take the conversation from this evening, bring it forward into next week. I'll present a budget to you based on the results of this evening's meeting. I do not expect that the budget you see a week from tomorrow, or excuse me, a week from today, will be balanced until sometime in early April, after meeting again with the Finance Committee on April 6th. So certainly by the 13th of April, we will have a balanced budget proposal that the advisory board can begin deliberating and discussing on. I suspect the commissioners will take a vote on the budget itself somewhere around May 4th. So as I mentioned to you, when we revise the budget schedule, you will open the hearing next week, but you will continue the hearing until May 4th. That'll allow time for the Ripples Group report to come in and for additional dialogue with the advisory board and the finance committee to conclude. So looking forward to this evening's discussion. It should be less formal, more dialogue about options, ideas, and sort of an expression of the challenges that we're facing for FY '23.
Excellent. That's great.
Any questions? Again,
And I think you plan to be there.
I'm going to attend tonight's meeting and we want to, work hand in hand as we have been with the advisory board.
Right.
Sticking to our schedule so far, Director Cronin?
We are.
As best we can.
Yes, we are.
That's good news.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner.
as a follow-up to last week, I believe Director Cronin had asked us also to start taking positions on some of the items that perhaps we didn't vote on, but heard from various departments in terms of the consultant report. So at that time, would we start doing that as well next week? Is that what the process would be part of?
Yes, in effect, it would be. Further to that point, Commissioner Stady, you asked that I reach out to department heads that had not embraced certain components of the Abraham's Group report that were of a larger variety. If you may recall, Commissioner, there were 4 that were listed on that Word document that was attached to the matrix.
Right.
So I've done that. I've reached out to the department heads, asked them if they had any further interest in embracing these items or discussing them, and I have not heard back from any of them.
All right, you read my mind. That was my other question. Good. Thank you, Director.
I
Thank
think it's safe to say that the status quo of what has been submitted and what will be
Okay.
discussed is in our possession.
Okay. But we did reach back out. That's good. So that's fine. Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Well-
Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Moving right along. Number 15. Report on American Rescue Plan Act of 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do not have any awards for the commissioners this afternoon. That does not mean we have been active. This past week, we've seen additional applications land in the portal. I think we're up to over 40 now. This past week, and as I think you understand, every 2 weeks, the 4 counties gather on a Zoom call. We gathered this past Tuesday, yesterday, to discuss the status of our respective county ARPA conditions. I guess it's safe to say Norfolk continues to sort of lead the way with the volume of applications and the volume of monies being distributed to the cities and towns. Surprisingly, Bristol is picking up the pace. They have quite a few applications. I believe it's close to 30, while Plymouth had a handful. And Treasurer O'Brien mentioned one of the reasons is he believes there's still a fair amount of CARES money that is being used by communities. So he expects the process down in Plymouth to pick up shortly. We also discussed an upcoming commissioners meeting. I know Commissioner Stady asked for the date for the multi-county commissioners meeting, and right now it is scheduled for April 8th from noon to 2:30 p.m. The location is still being worked out by our friends in Barnstable County. I will pass that along as soon as I hear where you'll be going on that date.
Great.
In addition, as the commissioners probably understand, we appeal to the U.S. Treasury regarding the final rule clarification on the use of revenue loss category for ARPA funds. That appeal went through Senator Markey's office on behalf of Senator Warren and several of the congressional delegation members, because several of our communities, including Braintree, were experiencing significant distress as a result of the limitations of that rule. The appeal from Senator Markey's office was received and heard by the U.S. Treasury. They reached out to us today, and they are looking to schedule a conference Zoom call with us next Tuesday. So I will participate on the call and share our story with them through your written request, explain to them the kind of problems it's presenting for the communities that had relied on revenue loss to resolve some of their structural issues. I think this is a significant development in such a short time. I think I personally have a lot of gratitude towards Senator Markey's office, his staff, Congressman Lynch, Congressman Auchincloss, and others who have pushed this to the point where we're having a relatively quick turnaround from the U.S. Treasury to have it addressed. There's no guarantees that they'll agree to what we're looking to do, but to have that kind of access is exquisite. And I think it shows the communities in Norfolk County that the commissioners are working towards a solution as best they can. I'll report back next Wednesday on how the meeting went, and I will also share it with my colleagues in the other counties who are monitoring these circumstances, as it will probably affect them as well. So that's my report on the American Rescue Plan Act, sir.
Any questions on the American Rescue Plan? Commissioner Stady?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, very quickly. Thank you, sir. John, just for a heads up, as I think I mentioned to you, the town of Stoughton is looking for a little help, and I'll try to get a date when at a convenient time for all of us to meet with them, as I mentioned to you. I think also, if I could just weigh in a little bit, I know as moderator, town meetings coming up in Canton, and a lot of town meetings are going to be starting at this time of year. Many towns, I think, are sitting tight at this point to see how things play out. And then I think I would not be surprised if the level of applications for ARPA goes up dramatically following town meeting. So you may see a little bit of a leveling off, perhaps, John, but then you might see a real spike after town meeting. I got a feeling they're waiting to see. Many of them are telling me that. That's what I'm hearing.
I think you're right.
You know, but we're still ahead of the curve compared to our counterparts, which is great news. So thank you for all you're doing on that. Sounds great. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, well, along the same vein, I think I agree with you. And I got an extra call today that I didn't anticipate, but it was the same, some reaching out a little and asking more questions, but anything we get done and out of the way only is, clears the pipeline for the future ones. And I'm very happy to say that so far, so good, as you just said, and we're fortunate that, to look back and what we didn't realize, have any idea what we're doing 6 months ago has really worked out. So, we're ready to handle them. Maybe a backup is a good thing, but we don't have one now, so.
Yeah,
This
yes,
is a 4 or 5 year program though.
right.
And, you know,
And I think, Mr. Chairman, I know you have, and myself and others, all of us in our own ways have attended different events over the last couple of weeks. I know all of us have been out there in different ways. And in talking to some of the officials, they're emphasizing back to me, well, I've got several years and who knows what's going to happen the following year. So they're looking at it, some towns are looking at it as kind of a safety valve, which, yeah, you can understand that. So, like I said, you're going to see more perhaps after town meeting wraps up or the spring budget sessions are concluded, but it's going well. Yeah, I think it's great. And it's kudos to John, his staff and everyone for putting us, first and foremost ahead of the others. It's kind of nice. It's great. Keep it up.
okay, last call on American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Number 16, report of the county director. Director Cronin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The commissioners may be aware that the Town of Walpole Select Board has responded back regarding the county's offer to lease the property associated with the solar project. The Walpole Select Board, in a vote of 4-0, voted not to accept the Norfolk County offer to lease these 4 parcels, which was expected. However, they did want to pass along a request through their comments. Number one, that the commissioners decide, once the commissioners decide when to hold a public hearing regarding this property, let the office know so that they can let interested residents of Town of Walpole know. That particular item has been discussed already with Chairman Shea. I think we're looking at sometime in April to hold a hearing. The date is to be determined. It's a relatively busy schedule to begin with, but
Right.
we don't want to delay further than that. Number 2, going forward, the Walpole Select Board writes they would like to see as much transparency as possible. The board requested the commissioners provide notice when the project is going to be discussed in a public meeting so they can advertise it on their website. Further, number 3, the board respectfully requests the commissioner's office reach out to all abutters who directly abut the property and advise them as to what is going on and what the plan is. Number 4, the board recommends or remains concerned about losing the rural character and open space in the general area where the solar farm is being proposed. The town is requesting, that the county work with the developer to ensure there is sufficient tree buffer to prevent the surrounding homes in the area from having to view the solar farm. And then finally, Walpole Select Board would like to once again thank the county or ask the county to agree to place a conservation restriction on the remaining wooded area that is not being disturbed. So I just want to let you know we have heard from the town of Walpole. They passed along some notes for your consideration. This office will be working with the commissioner to schedule the public hearing, and will also alert our partners at Kearsarge to be prepared for that meeting as well. Next on my list is we've received a preliminary update from the Ripples Group on their work associated with the technology assessment. Last week, they came before us and presented a PowerPoint, which I believe I've circulated to each of the commissioners so they can see some of the content that they're moving towards. They're in the first phase, if you will, of their 3-phase report. This report is sort of a waypoint of what they've done to date, and that is to assess what does the county systems look like in terms of, the software, hardware, and overall technology management. And similarly, what does the registry of deeds, infrastructure, software, and overall condition look like? I apologize. They indicate that they observe some conditions regarding the Brown Tech product, which is the mainstay of the registry of deeds systems that may indicate the system is it is a rather old system. It has some continuity of operations concerns, and the Ripples Group will continue to work with the register to find out if there are any plans to upgrade or replace that system going forward. This particular PowerPoint The registry did not appear at the meeting. Marguerite had just gotten back from vacation, so I understand that. But they had planned to take the same PowerPoint over to the registry and reveal it to them so that they had access to it. In the event the registry has not received it or have any difficulty, I'll be happy to share it with them. Next, I just wanted to alert you, Commissioner Stady, you just brought up a point about making decisions on the FY23 budget. I should have brought this in under the last remark, but one of the items I would just like you to consider is whether or not you envision embracing the facility maintenance workers plan to consolidate with the schools in FY23. As you know, when our facility maintenance department came in, they were not recommending that. When the agricultural school came in to present their budget, they were not recommending that. We continue to hold 4 positions, actually 5 in total, as temporary. These are hires made in FY22 that we wanted to hold until and if we undertook any kind of consolidation. So in anticipation next week, I'd just ask the commissioners to think on whether or not that element of consolidation is something they would support doing in FY23. And if they are not, perhaps take steps to move those temporary positions to a permanent status. So if that's more of a bookmark for you to think on for next week's meeting. One ARPA item that did come in, and I approved late yesterday, so the timing didn't work out for today. So I'll alert you now, but hopefully we'll have some folks from Dedham in next week. It's a rather large award. It's $632,000. They're upgrading their trash removal system. There are trash containers for all residents. The award will be put forward in the warrant for next week. And as I said, we'll see if any officials from Dedham want to attend.
That's fine.
The trial courts have notified our facilities unit that they are, per the direction of the executive office of the trial court, ordering new protocols effective March 23rd, 22 within the courthouses. Open water bubblers, open lunch and break rooms, clean and sanitize for occupant use, remove plexiglass in the courtrooms and at public counters at the discretion of the local court leaders. I contacted our facility department today. Sheila mentioned that they intend to begin disassembling the plexiglass apparatus in all the courtrooms. And I asked them to hold on to the material in the event that there's any need for them in the future. But I think this is a development that reflects the current condition of the COVID pandemic in our workforce, in our midst. And then finally, next week, you folks will be asked to review and approve the proposed third supplemental for FY23 in anticipation of the advisory board meeting in early April. Not surprisingly, this particular request is limited compared to the first 2, and it will reflect a handful of cleanup issues for FY22, as well as some smaller capital or one-time expenses, as well as transfers that have been requested of the departments. Currently, in broad terms, I haven't finalized this yet. The total amount of capital / supplemental needs is just over $300,000. So I'll have that ready for you next week for approval for further action. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions? Any questions of Director Cronin?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner.
one quick question. I saw in the mail a letter on the Norfolk County technical team that was brought in. Did you want to talk about that? It looked okay. I read it. It seemed fine, but was that something you wanted to include in your report, John?
Right,
or was that just-
I got it next here, yeah. Yeah, well, why don't we do it now? In your packet is a letter to Chief Charles Duty of Canton, thanking them for the time they spent last week, Commissioner, at your sponsorship, that they call it the Norfolk County Technical Rescue Team.
Right.
And I found it to be quite, eye-opening. I had been reminded, I went to, after I left, I got a call from someone that was aware that they were in, and I've been reminded that probably in 2014, I went to, unfortunately, an event at the shipyard, in the Braintree portion of the shipyard, and this team had responded. And it was people that were taking down those old buildings and the asbestos removal crew. It collapsed, and unfortunately, one fellow was left inside of the building and was inside a van, and in fact lost his life. And I did respond with the Quincy Fire Chief at the time because I was in the car with him, and I realized when he called me that this was the team that responded, in addition to the first responders who were from Quincy and Braintree. And that really brings it home when you see what they go through. But again, this was another construction person doing demolition, and something went wrong. But one of those old dilapidated World War II buildings came down, and it was very unpleasant. But to protect other people that were in there that didn't lose their lives, these people came in, so it really was brought home. So we didn't make a whole lot of promises, but I think it was very productive, and it's good to meet with these people and to hear their side of the story. So that letter will go out if my fellow commissioners approve it today, we'll get it out of here.
I thought, just to echo your sentiment, it was a great experience for all of us to learn and listen and to what they do and to support them any way that's perhaps appropriate. And I think the letter is pretty straightforward. It's great. It's well written. And I'd like to see us, if we could, act on it and get it to Chief Judy and his colleagues so that they know that we appreciate what they're doing and we're looking to help them as well. So if you need a motion to approve the letter or my
Sure.
sentiment, I approve the letter. I'm fine with it, and expedite it as best you can. That'd be great.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve proposed letter, which will be addressed to Chief Judy of Canton, but sent to all participants in last week's meeting relative to the Norfolk County Technical Rescue Team. All in favor?
Aye.
Get it out of here today.
Chairman, with your
Thank you.
permission, I know we have Commissioner Stady's permission for his stamp. That letter may require a stamp because it may be prepared after you leave today. May you use your stamp.
Okay, well,
like that.
I'll
Well, you'll be around.
be around because I'm staying for 6 o'clock. We'll still get it out today.
Perfect.
Thank you. That's great. Thank
All
you.
right.
Appreciate that.
Under the report of the county director, I want to go back to Walpole's letter.
Okay.
I want this sent to all, of course, to the school, of course, to the board, the agricultural school board, and to our legal counsel. I want to spend some time between now and next week trying to identify a date, because April is a crazy month and May gets more crazier.
Yeah. Yes.
I want,
Does.
we have to, we want to stick to a time schedule, and we want to let everyone know. The last public hearing, which was held remotely, was pretty well attended, but it was in the thick of COVID, so I remember it well. I did review it recently just to remind me of the format and what our obligations are, but I believe it is our intention to have this one in person and remote, or just in person.
Mr. Chairman, on that note, two quick questions. Number one,
Go ahead.
maybe John or Bill can tell us what's the absolute last possible date? In other words, how soon or how late can we have that meeting? Because I know April and May are very busy for all of us in different ways. And secondly, did the entire board attend, or was just the chairman? I can't recall if other members were there.
Actually, it was Chairman O'Brien was still the chairman. No, I was here.
Okay.
Great,
I thought
great support from Mike Mullen, Bill, and Mark. And
Okay.
it's the first night we used some of this new equipment, which we're working on today.
I thought I saw you on that
meeting.
meeting. I thought you were by yourself at that meeting. Maybe I got a different hearing date.
No,
Maybe I have a
that was
different
it.
one. Okay.
But it was, A was something new. B, it was remote, but we're going to do whatever's required. I mean, we
Okay,
do.
So clarify, my question was, so you want the board to meet, not just the chair? It would be a board having a public hearing, correct?
Sure.
Okay. I got some
Like
dates.
company
So,
of meetings like that.
okay, so maybe we can kick around some dates, next week, and we can
Yep,
take a
yep.
look at what the date, someone's talking about.
I just want to bring it up today because
Right.
Jim Johnson's letter is dated yesterday, I guess, or day
Yes.
before. So
Yeah.
we're going to be right on, and I will distribute it for everyone that's interested. And it still gets, sometimes the explanation still gets confusing, and I want to do everything we can to say we're going to live by our obligations. We're going to be at such a date, at such a place, etc. I can't imagine that we wouldn't have it in the town of Walpole, particularly at the school or whatever. But and if we have to do the remote also, we could probably. We've come a long way in the last year or so, so I think we can handle.
Are you looking, Mr. Chairman, for comments to the letter at this time, or we're going to defer action?
No, I want by next week though.
Okay, all right. Sounds good. Very good, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I mean, we couldn't go forward till we got this letter because
Sure.
The offer is the offer. The state is gone by. They
Right,
were first, and now the town is second. And it's a lot clearer than it was the first time. At least to me it is. Maybe that's because it's the second time around. Okay, next item.
good.
Emergency
Second.
items not on the agenda. Anything that we didn't anticipate. I have none at this time. Again, we're deep into the budget session. We're sticking to our calendar. The budget is a living, open document, subject to change. But we're going to take a step forward tonight with our advisory board partners in the way of explaining and any questions they may have. So it is a 6:00 Zoom meeting. And we're ready to go. And I want to compliment Director Cronin for keeping us on the track and onto our schedule. But again, everything is subject to change. We have the business manager, John Wallace, from the school with us today. If we have any questions of John, he's here, as he always is. We did review the school budget at our last meeting, and I think that's pretty much online or where it should be at now.
Yeah, we have our negotiations with our bargaining unit, and
Correct.
it's going to have a significant effect.
It certainly is. Do we want to talk about bargaining while got a few minutes here?
I wanted to point out that our bargaining is slated to begin this Friday, March 25th, with the respective units. So it'll be a ground rules meeting. The first meeting always is. We'll discuss that and move deliberately to engage the unions. And
So the in-house or the registry maintenance engineers are starting March 25th.
that's
And the
right.
school is going to open up.
School's had our first meeting already.
You had the first
Took place
meeting.
last week.
And Commissioner Stady is our representative on the
Yeah,
bargaining for the schools.
Yes.
And Commissioner Collins and I are doing the other three. Okay. Last call. I have nothing else. We appreciate a shorter meeting.
Great timing. I'm all set on my side.
Commissioners, can I just jump in for 1 second?
Joe Diori, go ahead.
I just want to go back to Commissioner Stady's question. While the meeting was going on, I did kind of put the numbers together. So revenues so far through February are down 1.6% from last year. And expenses are up like 38.5%.
Okay.
We're not trending the right way. In other words, we're kind of
The
a
revenue.
little bit down, expenses are going up.
I think we
But
can
the
all.
natural question would be,
Go ahead.
why are expenses going up? That's my next question.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I mean,
The revenue number, Joe, is reflective of a high watermark that we may not see again in our lifetime.
Right.
It's hard to sustain that historical level. So despite the fact that it is down 1%, it still means the revenue projected at the end of the year is exceptionally strong compared to most years.
exactly.
One of the reasons why that spending could be a bit higher than expected is because I believe we made a prepayment on our healthcare plan, Joe, at the beginning of the year of a sizable amount to avoid penalties or interest fees. Is that correct?
That's correct. And we also played all of the retirement assessment up front also.
Right.
There you go. Great job. Thanks, Joe.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
very much. That's great. Perfect. That's what we're looking for. That's great. That is. Thank you. Appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
Okay, last call. I'll take a motion to adjourn, please.
I'll move. We adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much for meeting next week in full session.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. Be take care. Thank you, everyone. See you soon.
I'll see you in person, Dick.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you.